Some comments on my recent videos accused me of giving bad advice about anger, and honestly, I think they had a point. I suggested that anger has an important message that needs to be listened to. But what if your anger isn't justified? Or what if it's getting out of control and damaging your relationships? I've seen this happen with survivors of abuse. It's like you go from tolerating all kinds of abusive behavior and maltreatment in order to keep the peace in an abusive relationship to suddenly writing someone off because they made an insensitive remark, or they didn't return a call, or they found it hard to see your point of view. Every slight feels personal, every conflict monumental, and before you know it, everyone around you seems like they might be a narcissist. You start overreacting or pulling away from people who really don't deserve it. And that can leave you lonely, confused, and guilty. If you've ever felt alarmed by the strength of your reactions or worried that your anger was going to ruin perfectly good relationships, this video is going to help you understand what's going on so you can see that you're not going crazy and you're not a bad person. I'll also help you get in the driver's seat so your anger doesn't get to steer all of your relationships off the road. Let's start with a story from my life that taught me just how vulnerable we can be to massive overreactions when we've experienced real threat, danger, or trauma. I grew up in Northern Ireland in the 80s and 90s during the Troubles. At that time, the threat of violence and terrorism was a daily reality. When I was about 12 years old, I met my father at his work, and I was sitting in the back office waiting for him to finish when suddenly all of the shutters came down, the police were being called, and the building was being evacuated. And I said, "Dad, can I just get my school bag?" Suddenly, the whole room went silent. A bomb scare had been created by an unattended bag in the reception area. An unattended bag left there not by a terrorist, but by a certain absent-minded 12-year-old. This experience taught me something powerful about how living with danger trains our minds and our bodies to see threat, even when it might not be there. And if you've ever felt that way, it's not that you're bad or that you're going crazy, but rather your mind and your body have been conditioned to stay vigilant. And just like we can experience real fear when there's no real threat, so too can our anger misfire. When we've faced real danger or threats to our safety, we learn to be vigilant. It can be like that when you've survived the emotional terrorism of an abusive relationship. You're constantly on high alert, sensitive to every possible slight. If you've experienced abuse or a betrayal in a close relationship, someone you thought you could trust and depend on has treated you with cruelty, or contempt, and maybe with disregard for your needs or even your rights. Whether there was physical, emotional, sexual, or financial abuse, repeated betrayals, deception, or severe neglect, these experiences teach you that people cannot be trusted, and that mistrust becomes the lens through which you view the world. You're on the lookout for signs of betrayal, deception, disrespect, contempt, or anything that suggests that someone might not be trustworthy. So when someone does something small, something human, something probably quite understandable, like they forget to return a call, or they struggle to see your point of view, or they make a joke that unintentionally touches on a sore spot, this can trigger a massive alarm in your mind. You start to think that you're in danger, that you've met yet another narcissist, that they're going to take advantage of you, they're going to betray you, they're going to abuse you, and so you must take action in order to protect yourself. Now you're scared and you're angry. Two emotions that very often go hand in hand. Your body responds, your adrenaline starts pumping, your heart is pounding, you feel hot, or on the other hand, maybe you freeze and go very, very quiet. Whatever form your reaction takes, your mind and your body are trying to protect you. This might lead you to accuse the person of doing something terrible or to confront them, or perhaps it leads you to go very, very quiet and to withdraw and disappear entirely. The problem is this leads to more conflict, tension, or losing relationships, which only serves to reinforce your mistrust of other people. But the good news is it doesn't have to be this way. Recognizing this pattern in yourself is a huge step in the right direction. This awareness can give you a moment to pause and to recognize that even though your alarm bells are ringing very, very loudly, this might not be the threat that your alarm system thinks it is. This can allow a healthier, stronger, calmer version of you to take control of the steering wheel. Now is not the time to crash a relationship at high speeds or slam on the brakes and stop it entirely. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring your emotions or labeling them as bad. In fact, your anger, your fear, and your distrust are all trying to protect you. The key is to understand that while they may be loud and urgent, they're not skilled at seeing the whole picture or forming a balanced judgment. And when it comes to communicating with those close to you, your mistrust, your anger, and your fear don't usually make for very good messengers. One of the biggest challenges that survivors of abusive relationship face is associating any kind of conflict in a relationship with abuse, betrayal, or danger. This can create a rather black and white view of relationships where you may tend to see other people as all bad, all narcissists, all abusive, or all good, loving, kind, and respectful. The reality is that healthy relationships are not conflict-free zones where everyone behaves with perfect gentleness, kindness, and respect at all times. Now, don't get me wrong, there are boundaries. Contempt, constant disrespect, relentless criticism, any kind of abuse, deception, or betrayal are never acceptable. But it's also true that everyone gets tired, everyone gets stressed, everyone gets irritable, even in healthy relationships. People who love each other deeply don't always see things in the same way, and they can have competing values and priorities. This kind of conflict is not a threat to your relationship. Research suggests that happy couples don't necessarily have less conflict than distressed couples. But what they're masterful at is the art of repair. They're able to come together after disagreements or conflict. They're able to try to understand each other's point of view, and they're able to reconnect with each other. If you're grappling with mistrust and anger in your relationships, it's vital to remember that conflict and differences are normal and even healthy. It's also vital to recognize that you may have a distorted lens through which you experience and interpret conflict. Simply recognizing that this is a lens and not necessarily the truth can be a reminder to step back and to ask questions of your initial assumptions and interpretations of what might be going on. This way, anger and mistrust don't get to steer your response. Instead, you can steer from a place of calmness, clarity, and wisdom. And that's where real healing and connection can really begin. I also want you to bear in mind that anger and irritability can be symptoms of depression, PTSD, or other mental health conditions. So if you think that might be the case for you, do seek help from a mental health professional in your area, as the right treatment can make a huge difference. I stand by what I said in my previous videos. Your anger does carry a vital message. It can be a tool for your protection and your healing. It is telling you something important. But the key is to listen to it without necessarily believing everything that it might say, and without letting it take control in ways that are harmful to your relationships or that push people away. Some of you may benefit more from paying close attention to your anger and what it's telling you about the relationships that you're in and ways that you may be being hurt. And some of you may benefit more from questioning your anger, questioning your mistrust. So I have another question for you. Which video do you need to watch next? This video about how your anger can be a tool for protection and healing, or this video giving some very practical steps as to how you can navigate these intense feelings and build the healthy, secure relationships that you've always longed for?